Our readings today remind me of Hidilyn Diaz. After Heidelin pulled up the weight of 224 kilograms and lifted it above her chest and then pushed it up in the air, she knew as soon as she dropped the weight that she had made it. And she broke into tears as the announcer said that she had won the first gold medal for the Philippines at the Tokyo Olympics. When she stepped on the platform to receive her gold medal, the Catholics among the viewers immediately noticed another familiar medal hanging on her neck. It was a cheap medallion with the image of Mama Mary embossed on it. A photographer took pains to zoom it in and blow up the photo. Perhaps they should have accompanied it with the caption, "The real gold Heidelin had won." As she spoke about that other medal openly, people realized that this woman was not just a sterling athlete for the Olympics. This was a woman of faith. Her whole life is not just about lifting iron weights. She has lifted many other weights in her life, some far heavier than the iron plates. And in the process, she had met the real weightlifter worth emulating, ang tunay niyang coach, the man from Nazareth who carried the weight of the whole world to Calvary in order to redeem it, in order to lift it out to its true glory as willed by the Father. Today's first reading tells us about the glow. Nag-glow daw yung mukha ni Moses after having a conversation with God whom he calls his intimate friend. I spoke about that yesterday. This is also the kind of glow that you now see on the face of Hidilyn Diaz. A glow that proclaims to the whole world, "I have found my treasure." But it is not as simple as you might think it is. This is made clear by today's gospel reading. The treasure is yours only if you are willing to pay the price to achieve it. As narrated by Jesus, the parable is quite well packed. We need to unpack it. And if you think it is about literal treasures and about literal pearls, you will miss the point. We are dealing here with a parable. Kailangan ng imagination to be able to unpack it. And you know what it is about? It is about the kingdom of heaven. And Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure that is buried in a field which a person finds and then hides again. And you're supposed to react when you hear the story. How should you react? Kailangan tanong mo, bakit niya tinago uli? Why did he bury the treasure again? If he had found it already. Nakita na nga tinago pa niya ulit. And the answer to that is, hindi naman kasi kanya yung lupa. He did not own the land. And it is like that, you know. Well, sometimes there are people, imagine kung ikaw yung may-ari ng lupa, and somebody else finds the treasure. Sometimes there are people who don't even realize how blessed they are. There are people who own things but do not know what they are worth. Some people take their education for granted. Imagine, may mga poor people, they have to work very hard to be able to go to school. Well, there are people who are unable to find the treasure because they are looking elsewhere. I imagine that the finder in the story is probably an agricultural worker who is just paid to till the land. Wala siyang sariling lupa. And his master, the owner, who has never worked on his own land, was only too eager to sell it away because he had his mind set on hunting for treasures in other places. Ayun yung treasure, natutulog lang sa sarili mong lupa. And you're looking in other places. Isn't that a beautiful analogy? Dinaya ba nung finder yung may-ari ng lupa? Hindi naman. He did not cheat him. He did not steal the treasure. He put it back where he found it. He got the treasure only after he had bought the field. And I imagine he must have paid a big price for it. The lesson is repeated with the second parable of the pearl of great price. The finder did not find the pearl himself. Somebody else had found it, but probably also did not know what it was worth. And the point always is, the real finder is the one who is willing to pay the price. One who is willing to pay the price. Ang galing magkwento ni Jesus of all kinds of precious stones or metals or objects. Ang ginamit niyang image is the pearl. I wonder if people were already aware back then, in the time of Jesus, that a pearl was a product of so much pain. It begins with a tiny grain of sand or a little bit of dirt that gets lodged like a splinter in the flesh of a young oyster or a shellfish. And the poor animal has no way of getting rid of it. The splinter gets stuck in its flesh like a thorn. And the poor shellfish or oyster copes with the pain by secreting some white enamel-like substance and coating the grain or the sand or the splinter with that substance until it solidifies. And the oyster dies, but the pearl is born. The most beautiful people whom I have met in this world are people who have been through so much pain and have been purified by it. They have paid the price, and they're glowing from inside, unable to hide the joy of having found their treasure. You know, St. Augustine often spoke of his conversion story this way. He says it took him a long, long time, and he looks back with regret that he had not discovered God much earlier in his life. Ang sabi niya dun sa confessions niya, a diary, "Late have I loved you, O beauty, ever ancient, ever new." Well, at least he found what he was looking for. Maybe late, but better than never. Si Father Manuling Francisco, one of my favorite composers, a Jesuit composer, composed a song that became the title of a movie that captivated the hearts of many Filipinos about 21 years ago. And that movie was directed by one of my favorite directors, Loris Guillen. That movie became a surprise blockbuster in the silver screen. Can you remember the title? Tanging Yaman. In English, My Only Treasure. You have to watch it again in order to know what treasure Loris Guillen was talking about. And you have to pay close attention to the lyrics of the song of Father Manuling Francisco. Let's listen to the lyrics. The lyrics would say, Ikaw ang aking tanging yaman, na di lubusang masumpungan, ang nilikha mong kariktan, sulyap ng iyong kagandahan. In English, you are my only treasure, the kind of treasure that could not be easily found. All the beauty that you have created, all of it, it's just a glimpse of your majesty.
Ikaw